Stepping into our hearts, folks, is the first and most powerful step we can take in this life. You've heard it before, but let me remind you, if we as individuals embraced our inner moral compass and refused to comply with any rule or law that forces us to step away from it, we could change the world in a single day. That's right, it's that simple. We just need to remember who we are and what we stand for. The truth is, within each of us lies a compass, not governed by the world or its expectations, but by the deepest sense of right and wrong. When we are in tune with that inner compass, it leads us in ways that no external law or mandate can. It's our true north, the guiding star of the soul. It knows without fail what is aligned with our higher selves and what leads us astray. If each one of us chose to follow that compass with unwavering commitment, the collective shift would be unimaginable. Think about it, millions, maybe billions of hearts moving in harmony with the moral force that transcends politics, society, and even history itself. It wouldn't just be a revolution, it would be an evolution. You see, we are all having a constant conversation with reality, an emotional dialogue that never ceases. Every action, every choice, every thought feeds into this conversation. There's an energy exchange happening all the time, a flow of invisible power that shapes the world we live in. What most people forget is that this exchange isn't something external. It's within us. It's conversation, this exchange of energy, happens in every moment of our existence, from the simplest thoughts to the grandest actions. It's as though reality is a living entity and we are in constant communion with it. Reality responds to the vibrations we put out, and we in turn are shaped by its feedback. Our choices, emotions, and intentions create ripples that flow outward, touching everything around us. Every decision we make, even the ones that seem insignificant, carries weight in this conversation. The energy we project comes back to us, sometimes in ways we can see, but often in ways that are invisible to our physical senses. The key is to realize that we are not passive participants in this process. We are the co-creators of our reality, and every choice is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. When you step into the right energetic state, with no attachment to the outcome, everything changes. Why? Because you realize you're only here for a breath, for a fleeting moment in time. What happens to the world after you leave? It doesn't matter. What happens to others? It doesn't matter until their actions affect your soul's choices. This is your journey, your test, and it's your choice to pass or fail. Once you truly understand the transient nature of this life, it frees you from the burdens of attachment. It becomes clear that so much of what we stress over is ultimately insignificant in the grander scheme of things. We spend so much time worrying about the future or clinging to the past, but in reality all we have is this moment, this fleeting breath. What happens after we leave this world is not ours to control. The fate of the world, the outcomes of events, the actions of others, they are all outside of our hands. We are here for a personal journey, one that is meant to test and refine our souls. It is in this understanding that we find peace. The external world, with all its chaos, fades into the background when you realize that the true test is within. Your soul is what matters most. The way you navigate your inner world, the choices you make that align with your deepest truth, this is the test you came here to pass. And it is your test alone. What others do, how the world turns, what political or social systems rise and fall, none of it is your burden to carry. The only thing that truly matters is how you respond to the circumstances placed before you. The actions of others only matter when they begin to interfere with your own soul's choices. When you reach this level of clarity, life becomes a beautiful, intricate dance between your inner self and the world around you. You begin to move through life not as a victim of circumstances, but as a conscious creator of your reality. You are here to learn, to grow, to evolve. And the more you realize this, the more you embrace the test you chose to take on, the easier it becomes to move through life with grace, wisdom, and purpose. In this space of understanding, the pressure lifts. You realize that you are not here to fix the world. You are not responsible for the actions of others or the state of the planet. You are here for your soul's evolution. Your purpose is to align with the deepest truths of your being and to make choices that reflect that alignment. When you do this, when you live in accordance with your inner compass, you naturally inspire others to do the same. The change you wish to see in the world begins with you, but it does not end there. It ripples outward, touching the lives of those around you, encouraging them to awaken to their own inner compass. This is how real change happens, not through force or control, but through each of us remembering who we truly are and living in alignment with that truth. This is the test of life. It is not about succeeding in the eyes of the world. It is about succeeding in the eyes of your soul. The world will always try to pull you in different directions to tell you what you should do, who you should be, what you should believe. But none of that matters. What matters is what you choose for yourself. You came here with the knowledge deep within you that you are capable of passing this test. You wouldn't have come if you weren't. So trust yourself. Trust your inner compass. It will never lead you astray. Here's the secret: if you're awake to what's happening around you, then you chose to be here. You made the decision before you were even born to come to this earth at this very moment for this exact test. This life, with all its challenges and complexities, is not something that happened to you by accident. You are here with purpose, with intention, and with a reason that transcends the material world. The trials, the hardships, the moments of joy and sorrow, they're all part of this test you willingly signed up for. Deep down, even before you arrived on this planet, you knew you were strong enough to handle whatever would come your way. You knew the path might be hard, but you also knew that you had everything within you to overcome. And when you truly grasp this idea, it changes everything. Suddenly, life's obstacles are no longer things to be feared or avoided. They are the very tools that will help you grow, refine, and strengthen your soul. When you understand that you chose this, a deep sense of pride arises. This isn't arrogance or ego-driven pride, but the kind of pride that stems from knowing your own strength, your own capacity. You made a decision to come here to experience life in all its messiness because you knew you were ready for it. And this realization brings with it a sense of purpose. You are not just drifting through life at the mercy of random events. You are here for a reason. Every challenge you face, every situation that tests your resolve, is a part of the journey you agreed to undertake. When you recognize this, you can embrace life more fully. You stop fearing the unknown because you know that you are capable of navigating it. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and begin to see yourself as the powerful creator of your own destiny. This life is a soul's journey, and the best thing we can do is become one in spirit while maintaining our individuality. This might sound like a paradox, but it's the very essence of what it means to live a truly awakened life. Oneness doesn't mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean we all blend into some homogeneous mass where we lose our unique identities. Rather, it means recognizing that beneath the surface we are all connected by the same thread of existence. There is a shared energy, a universal consciousness that flows through all of us, connecting us in ways that go beyond the physical. Yet within this oneness, we are still individuals, with our own perspectives, our own voices, and our own paths. There's a deep loneliness in people today because they've forgotten this balance. Many long for connection, for a sense of belonging, but at the same time, they fear losing their individuality. This is the internal conflict many of us face, whether we're aware of it or not. We crave the warmth of unity, but we fear the loss of self. We want to be part of something greater, but we don't want to be swallowed by it. And this is where the misunderstanding lies. True oneness doesn't ask us to give up who we are. It doesn't demand conformity or sameness. Instead, it asks us to honor both our individual nature and our shared essence. It's about embracing the fact that we can be deeply connected to others while still being wholly ourselves. Think about it: if we were all one mind, one thought, where would the beauty of individuality go? The uniqueness of our experiences, our emotions, our insights would be lost. It would be like playing a song with only one note. There would be no melody, no harmony, no depth. Each of us brings something different to the world, something that only we can contribute. Our individual experiences, perspectives, and emotions are what make life so rich and diverse. To lose that would be to lose the very essence of what makes us human. Instead of striving for a world where everyone thinks the same, feels the same, and behaves the same, we should be celebrating our differences, knowing that it is these differences that make the whole stronger. Yet, despite this, there's a profound longing for connection in the world today. People feel isolated, disconnected, even in a world that's more connected than ever through technology. Why is that? It's because true connection doesn't come from external sources. It comes from recognizing our shared humanity, our shared spirit. We are meant to be individuals united not by conformity, but by empathy. Empathy is the bridge that allows us to connect with others while still remaining true to ourselves. It's the understanding that while we may walk different paths, we are all on the same journey. We are all here to grow, to learn, to evolve. In a world that often tries to divide us, empathy is what brings us back together. It allows us to see beyond the surface differences and connect with the deeper essence of another person. When we operate from a place of empathy, we stop seeing others as separate from us and start seeing them as reflections of ourselves. We realize that their struggles are our struggles, their joys are our joys, and in this realization the loneliness begins to fade. We don't need to lose our individuality to connect with others. We simply need to open our hearts and remember that we are all part of the same universal consciousness. So while the world may often feel divided, the truth is that we are all connected on a level far deeper than most of us realize. The challenge, the test, is to remember this while still honoring the uniqueness of our own journey. It's about finding the balance between oneness and individuality, between connection and self-expression. When we can do that, when we can live from a place of both unity and authenticity, we unlock a whole new level of existence. We begin to experience life not as a series of separate events and people, but as a beautiful, interconnected tapestry where every thread, every individual, plays an essential role. And in that realization we find both the connection we crave and the freedom to be fully ourselves. What is life but wisdom's dare? The universe is constantly daring us to be wise, challenging us to dig deeper into the essence of our existence. It's as though life itself is a vast test, asking us time and time again to see beyond the surface, to question what we think we know, and to reach for the truths that lie beyond the obvious. Every situation we encounter, every challenge we face, is an invitation from the universe to grow in understanding, to elevate our perspective, and to act with wisdom. It dares us to look past the noise of the world, past the distractions of daily life, and see the deeper, eternal truths that bind us all together. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers, it's about being willing to ask the right questions, to face the uncertainty with open eyes, and to embrace what life is truly about. The only way to fully embrace the light is by facing the darkness without fear. This is the crux of wisdom's dare. It's not about running away from the shadows or pretending they don't exist. It's about standing tall in the face of them, recognizing their presence, and choosing not to let them define or control you. To truly live in the light means to have walked through the darkness and emerged stronger, braver, and more resilient. It is only when we can face our fears head-on without flinching or backing down that we can fully understand the power of the light within us. Fear thrives in the absence of understanding, in the shadows of uncertainty. But when we confront that fear, when we shine the light of awareness on it, it dissolves. The darkness is not something to be feared, but something to be understood. You see, in the presence of universal love, darkness cannot survive. It simply vanishes. Love is the most powerful force in existence, and it has the ability to dissolve all illusions, all fears, and all that separates us from our true selves. When we operate from a place of love, pure, unconditional love, the darkness has no choice but to retreat. Love is like a flame that burns through the fog of confusion and fear, revealing the truth of who we are. The fear that people carry, the anxiety they feel, comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of this. We have been taught to believe that the darkness has power over us, that it is something to be afraid of, but this is a misconception. The darkness only holds sway if we give it that power, if we allow fear to take root in our hearts. But once we step into love, once we choose love over fear, the darkness loses all its strength. The fear people feel is not a reflection of reality, it is a reflection of the stories they tell themselves. It's a product of the belief systems that have been handed down to them, the conditioning that says the world is a dangerous, unforgiving place. But when you peel back those layers of conditioning, you find that underneath it all, there is only love. Love is the foundation of everything. And when you operate from a place of love, the illusions of fear and darkness start to fall away. They lose their grip on you because you begin to see them for what they really are, nothing but shadows cast by the mind. The darkness only holds power over us when we believe it does. It feeds off our fear, off the energy we give it when we allow it to consume us. But the moment we realize that we are the source of the light, that we have the power to illuminate any shadow, the darkness fades away. It cannot stand in the presence of love because love is the ultimate truth. Fear is an illusion, a creation of the mind, but love is real. Love is eternal. And when you stand in love, in pure and unconditional love, the darkness has no choice but to disappear. It simply melts away because it cannot coexist with the light of truth. This is the great secret that so many people have forgotten. They have forgotten the immense power of love. They have allowed themselves to be consumed by fear, by the false belief that they are small, powerless beings at the mercy of forces beyond their control. But this couldn't be further from the truth. We are powerful beyond measure. Each of us is a beacon of light capable of shining through the darkest of times. And that light is fueled by the love we have for ourselves, for others, and for the world. When we choose love, we choose to see the world through a different lens. We choose to see beyond the fear, beyond the darkness, and into the truth of what is. We see that the darkness is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced and understood. It is a part of the journey, a part of the test, and it exists only to help us grow. Once we understand this, once we see that the darkness has no real power over us, we can move through life with a sense of peace and purpose. We are no longer controlled by fear, but guided by love. In love, there is no room for fear. The two cannot exist in the same space, and this is why the darkness fades in the presence of love. When we live from a place of love, we transcend the limitations of fear and step into our true power. We become the creators of our own reality, shaping the world around us with the energy we put out. Love is the key to unlocking this power, the key to transforming not only our own lives, but the world at large. So when you stand in love, in pure, unconditional love, the darkness has no choice but to retreat. It cannot survive in the presence of such light, because the light of love is the strongest force in the universe. And this is what the universe dares us to understand. It dares us to see beyond the illusions of fear and to recognize the truth of who we are, beings of light, of love, capable of transforming the world through the simple act of choosing love over fear. The darkness may seem powerful, but it is only as powerful as we allow it to be. When we stand in love, we stand in our true power. And in that place, the darkness fades away. What are we really here for? Love. That's it, folks. Pure, unconditional love is the key to everything. It may sound too simple, too idealistic for a world that seems so complicated and fraught with problems, but in the deepest sense, it's the only thing that matters. We've become so caught up in fear, so tangled in the chaos of the world, that we've forgotten this simple truth. We're constantly bombarded with distractions, with negativity, with reasons to believe that the world is a harsh, unforgiving place. And in that state, we allow fear, anger, and hatred to seep into our lives. We react to the world's chaos. We let it dictate how we feel and how we act. But the moment we step away from that, when we consciously choose to release the fear, to let go of the anger, to abandon the hatred, we step into love. And that shift changes everything. Because love, my friends, is the only thing that's real. Think about it. When we strip everything away, all the complications, all the external noise, what remains is the core truth that love is the force that drives life itself. It's the energy that connects us all, that binds the universe together. Every genuine connection, every moment of peace, every experience of joy is rooted in love. Yet we've been conditioned to forget this. Society, culture, media, they all tell us that love is something we must earn, something conditional, something fleeting. But that's not true. Love is who we are. It's the essence of our being, the foundation of everything that exists. And when we step into that realization, when we begin to live from a place of love rather than fear, our entire experience of life changes. The chaos, the pain, the suffering we see in the world, these things are illusions. They are not the ultimate reality, but rather reflections of how we interpret and perceive the world around us. They are the products of fear, the result of a collective belief that we are separate, that we are alone, that we must struggle to survive. But none of that is real. It's a narrative we've been led to believe, one that has been reinforced over generations, but it is not the truth. The truth is that we are all connected, that we are all part of the same fabric of existence, and that love is the force that weaves us together. When we can break free from the illusion, when we can strip away the layers of conditioning and fear that have clouded our vision, we begin to see the world for what it truly is. We begin to see that love is the driving force behind everything. The space behind our eyes, the consciousness that powers our life, is driven by love. It's always been there, patiently waiting for us to return to it. And when we do, when we remember that love is our true nature, everything changes. Our perception shifts and we begin to see the world in a new light. The chaos and the suffering no longer have the same hold on us, because we know they are not the ultimate truth. The moment you choose to step away from fear, to no longer allow it to guide your actions or color your perception, you step into love. And love is not just an emotion, it's not just a fleeting feeling. It is a state of being, a way of existing in the world. When you live in love, you begin to see everything differently. You begin to recognize the beauty in even the smallest moments, the connection in even the most unexpected places. You stop seeing others as separate from you, and you start to feel the deep, underlying connection that binds us all. This isn't to say that life becomes perfect or that challenges disappear. No, challenges will always arise. But when you approach them from a place of love, they no longer have the power to throw you off course. They become opportunities for growth, for understanding, for deepening your experience of love. You begin to see that every difficulty, every moment of pain is simply a doorway to greater love. And with that understanding comes a profound sense of peace. Everything else, the chaos, the pain, the suffering, fades into the background when you're living from a place of love. It's not that these things don't exist, but they no longer define your reality. They no longer hold the same weight or importance. Instead, you see them for what they are: temporary experiences, reflections of a world that is still waking up to its own truth. And in that awareness, you find freedom. You find that you are no longer at the mercy of the world's chaos, because you are anchored in something much deeper, something much more powerful. You are anchored in love. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion of the world, to believe that the chaos and the suffering are all there is. But the truth is, these things are simply reflections of our collective consciousness. They are the result of living in fear, of forgetting who we truly are. When we remember that we are beings of love, that love is the force that powers our lives, the illusion begins to fall away. We stop being reactive, and we start being creators. We stop feeling powerless, and we start recognizing the immense power we hold within us, the power to choose love in every moment, the power to create a reality that is aligned with love. This is the shift that changes everything. When enough of us begin to live from a place of love, the entire world will change. It has to. Because love is the most powerful force in the universe, and when we align with it, we become unstoppable. The suffering, the pain, the chaos they cannot stand in the face of love. They are simply the shadows cast by fear, and when we shine the light of love on them, they dissolve. It's that simple. So, what are we really here for? Love. That's it. Everything else is just noise, distractions from the truth of who we are. The moment you step into love, you step into your true power. You step into the reality that has been waiting for you all along. And from that place, everything is possible. Love is the key to everything. And when we live from that place, we create a world that is aligned with the highest truth, the deepest wisdom, and the greatest peace. Science even proves it now. Your consciousness isn't local to your body. What we once believed to be confined within the brain, our thoughts, our awareness, our sense of self-science is now revealing to be much more expansive. You're like a radio, picking up a frequency from the vast field of energy that surrounds us, interpreting the world around you through this physical form. But that's all the body is, a biological computer designed to process and interpret those signals. This body of ours is an extraordinary piece of machinery, no doubt, but it's just that a tool, a vessel. Your consciousness, your true self, is far greater than this limited experience. What we perceive through our senses is just a fraction of reality. The body is the interface, the translator of something much larger, much more profound. You are not your body. You are not confined to this physical form. You are part of a vast, interconnected web of consciousness, a spark of the infinite, an extension of the divine mind that permeates all things. This is the realization that opens up a whole new perspective on life. We often think of ourselves as isolated beings living our individual lives separate from one another and from the world. But that's a misconception, a limitation of the human mind. In truth, we are all part of something far greater. Each of us is a point of awareness, a thought in the mind of God, a fragment of the divine consciousness that has chosen to experience itself through this physical reality. When you start to see yourself in this way, everything changes. You begin to realize that you are not alone, that you are not separate from others. There is a unity that connects us all, a shared consciousness that flows through every living thing. This isn't just a spiritual idea, it's something that science is beginning to understand. Studies in quantum physics have shown that at the most fundamental level, everything is interconnected. The particles that make up your body are entangled with the particles that make up the rest of the universe. We are all part of the same cosmic dance, the same symphony of energy. And your consciousness is a part of that. It is not confined to your brain or your body. It is part of the infinite field of consciousness that surrounds us all. When you begin to live from this understanding, life becomes easier. You stop feeling so isolated, so separate. You stop looking for external sources of happiness or validation, because you realize that everything you need is already within you. The love you seek, the healing you crave, the truth you search for, all of it is already inside you. You don't need to chase after it in the external world. You don't need to look to others to fill the void inside you, because the void doesn't really exist. It's an illusion created by the false belief that we are separate, that we are incomplete. But when you see yourself as a fragment of the divine, as a piece of the infinite consciousness that makes up the universe, you realize that you are already whole. You are already enough. This realization is transformative. When you understand that you are a part of something so vast, so profound, you begin to live from a place of empathy, compassion, and love for all others. You can't help but feel connected to those around you because you see them as reflections of yourself. You see that they too are fragments of the divine consciousness just like you. And in that understanding you find compassion. You stop judging others, stop holding on to resentment or anger, because you know that at their core they are just like you. They are on their own journey of growth and learning just as you are. When you live from this place of empathy and love, life flows. It becomes effortless. You no longer feel the need to control or manipulate the world around you because you trust in the divine order of things. You understand that everything happens for a reason, that every experience is an opportunity for growth and expansion. You stop resisting life and start embracing it, with all its ups and downs, knowing that it is all part of the journey. The external world no longer holds power over you. You don't need to seek out external saviors or solutions, because you know that the answers are already within you. The healing you need is not something that can be given to you by another person or a situation. It's something that comes from within, from reconnecting with your true self, from remembering that you are a part of the divine consciousness. The love you seek is not something that can be found outside of yourself, in another person or in material possessions. It's something that is already inside you, waiting to be awakened. When you realize this, you stop searching. You stop chasing after things in the external world, because you know that everything you need is already here within you. The truth you've been searching for is not something that can be found in a book or a philosophy. It's found in the connection between your heart and the heart of another. It's found in the realization that we are all connected, that we are all part of the same divine consciousness, experiencing itself through different forms. This connection, this oneness, is the ultimate truth. It's what we've been searching for all along, even if we didn't realize it. We spent so much time looking for answers outside of ourselves, seeking validation, love and truth in the external world. But all of those things were inside us all along. The love we've been searching for is the love we are. The truth we've been seeking is the truth of our own divine nature. And the healing we've been longing for is the healing that comes from reconnecting with the infinite consciousness that we are a part of. When you live from this place, life becomes a dance, a flow of energy and consciousness. You move through the world with grace and ease, knowing that you are supported, that you are connected, that you are never alone. You begin to see the beauty in every moment, the divine in every person you meet. You stop fearing the future or regretting the past, because you know that everything is happening exactly as it should. You trust in the process of life because you understand that you are a part of something much greater than yourself. And that understanding, that realization, is the key to true peace and happiness. It's the key to living a life of purpose, a life of love. When you know that you are a fragment of the divine, when you know that your consciousness is not limited to your body, you begin to live from a place of infinite possibility. You stop seeing limits, stop feeling trapped by circumstances or situations, because you know that you are a creator, a co-creator of your reality. You are a part of the divine mind, and with that knowledge comes the power to shape your life in alignment with love, compassion and empathy. And that, my friends, is the greatest truth of all. This entire life experience is an exercise in free will. From the moment we are born, we are presented with choices, each one shaping the path we walk, each one pulling us in a different direction. And while life may seem complicated, while the circumstances we encounter may appear layered with complexities, it really comes down to one simple thing: love or fear. That's the choice we face over and over again. Every decision we make, every action we take, is guided by one of these two emotions. At the core of every thought, every response to the world around us is a choice between love or fear. These are the only two fundamental energies that drive human behavior. Love opens us up, expands us, connects us to others, and aligns us with the flow of the universe. Fear, on the other hand, contracts us, isolates us, and builds walls between us and the world. So why do we hold on to fear? Why do we cling to it, allowing it to dictate so much of our lives? Fear, for most people, feels safer. It creates the illusion of control, of protection. We build our lives around it, convinced that if we anticipate every possible threat, if we guard ourselves against pain, rejection or failure, we can somehow shield ourselves from suffering. But what we fail to realize is that by holding on to fear, we are not protecting ourselves at all. Instead, we are limiting ourselves. Fear binds us, keeps us small, and prevents us from experiencing life fully. It blinds us to the possibilities that exist beyond our comfort zones. We are afraid to face the darkness. We are afraid to acknowledge the negativity in the world, to confront the pain, the suffering, the challenges that life inevitably brings. But by avoiding the darkness, By pretending it doesn't exist or refusing to confront it, we give it more power. We allow it to grow in the shadows of our minds, unchallenged and unchecked. It's not the darkness itself that is so terrifying, it's our unwillingness to face it. Because when we finally muster the courage to look directly at the fears that have been controlling us, we often find that they are not as overwhelming as we imagine. They are simply constructs of the mind, illusions that dissolve when we shine the light of awareness on them. The irony is that fear itself is not real. It's an illusion we've been taught to believe in, a story we've been conditioned to accept as truth. But the more we cling to it, the more real it feels. And yet, when you truly know that love is the only reality, what is there to fear? Absolutely nothing. Once you reach that understanding, the entire game of life becomes clear. You see it for what it really is, a journey back to love. A journey of overcoming the fears that have clouded our vision, that have kept us from seeing the truth of who we really are. We are not here to live in fear. We are not here to build walls around our hearts or to navigate life with caution and hesitation. We are here to love, to open ourselves up to the full experience of life, to connect with others, to live boldly and fearlessly from a place of unconditional love. That is our purpose. And yet, fear constantly pulls us in the opposite direction, whispering in our ears that the world is a dangerous place, that we must protect ourselves, that we are separate from others. But these are lies. Fear is a lie. When we truly understand that love is the only reality, fear loses its grip on us. We begin to see that fear is nothing more than a distraction, a detour from the path we are meant to walk. The more we give in to fear, the more disconnected we become from ourselves, from others, from the divine consciousness that unites us all. But love brings us back. Love heals the fractures that fear creates. Love is the bridge that connects us to the infinite, to the source of all that is. The task before us, then, is simple: overcome the fear and return to love. It may not always feel easy, but it is simple. We must constantly choose love in the face of fear. We must reawaken our connection to the divine consciousness that exists within us and around us. This is the purpose of life. This is the game we are playing, whether we realize it or not. Every challenge, every hardship, every moment of pain is an opportunity to return to love, to let go of the fear that has been holding us back. But how do we do this? How do we let go of the fear when it feels so ingrained, so natural? The first step is awareness. We must become aware of the ways in which fear has been controlling us, the ways in which we have been living our lives from a place of fear rather than love. This requires honesty. It requires us to look at ourselves, to examine our thoughts and behaviors, and to recognize when we are making decisions based on fear. Once we are aware, we can begin to make a different choice. We can begin to choose love. It's not always easy. Fear has been ingrained in us for so long that it often feels like the default setting. But with practice, we can begin to shift our perspective. We can start to see fear for what it really is, an illusion, a construct of the mind. And in doing so, we can begin to dissolve it. We can begin to let go of the stories we've been telling ourselves about why we need to be afraid, why we need to protect ourselves, why we can't fully trust life. When we choose love, everything changes. We begin to see the world differently. We begin to see ourselves differently. We realize that we are not small, isolated beings living in a chaotic and dangerous world. We are infinite beings, connected to the divine, connected to each other, and connected to the very fabric of the universe. We are creators. And when we create from a place of love, rather than fear, we tap into a power that is far greater than anything fear could ever offer. We become aligned with the flow of the universe, with the energy of creation itself. So the game becomes clear. We are here to choose love over fear. We are here to overcome the darkness by shining the light of love on it. And when we do, when we make the conscious choice to live from a place of love, we transform not only our own lives but the world around us. Fear may still try to creep in, but when we know that love is the only reality, fear loses its power. we see it for the illusion it is, and we return again and again to love.